the winner, Derrick Lewis. Derrick, why'd you take your pants off?
My balls was hot.
I understand.
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show. I am Kyle Anthony and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC 265, Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis. We're going to talk main event. We have a main event. It's a heavyweight title fight, but boy, we don't have the heavyweight champion. No Francis Ngannou, all that crazy stuff with scheduling and whatever else kind of happened there. Don't really like it. Would really love to be talking about the heavyweight title fight and Ngannou involved, but we have what we have here. We will be talking the main event, also one other play. But if you want all of my plays, you can definitely take a look. Link down in the description. I have a 5% play loaded for this card. Last time we had 5% play, we had two, and both of them cashed. Even money pricing, cashed in KO fashion. Ended up doing very well on that card. So have a 5% play that I do feel great about. But also I do have, and I don't do this very often, one of my plays is going to be $2. 4% play, $2, a best bet graded play. Take a look. Link in the description. You can also see that play as well. But the 5% package does have all of my plays. It's an all-access package. So definitely take a look there. And out of the last 8 events, we have cashed 6 of them. I think it should have actually been 8 of 8 because we had some real screw jobs going on in some of these decisions. But either way, we are definitely on a nice run here in the summer. Want to keep the cash going on. And let's just dive into the main event, shall we? So we're going to talk Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis. This is a fun fight here. 2 big boys going at it. The winner of this will fight Francis Ngannou. And like we always do here, we're going to break down the last 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So we're first going to be talking about Ciryl Gane. Now, right now, he's an undefeated fighter. The price tag on him has absolutely been blown off the roofs here. You've got a minus 410, roughly around there. It was even lower, around minus 300. 280, somewhere around there, so it has really ballooned up. And you've got Derrick Lewis right now, he's anywhere from, I think you're seeing, plus 300, plus 350, you're seeing all kinds of crazy numbers there, but those are roughly what you're seeing depending where you're shopping. So what we're going to do is we're first going to talk Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane 3 fights ago fought Junior Dos Santos. Now this was a fight here where you take a look at it. These are 2 guys that very high level striking, heavyweight division, you got the big boys going at it, and definitely Junior Dos Santos is known for that big striking, big power, fantastic boxing, and definitely now it's starting to, at this point, his career kind of dwindling down a little bit more than he's used to, losing some big fights in there, but this is one here where it was going to be a good stylistic matchup where they're both standing, both looking to bang, both looking to bring, some kind of higher technical striking when you talk about the heavyweight division. And kind of, that first round when they kind of, poked around a little bit, you did see, Gane, and we're going to talk about that as we go on, his timidness in spots. And, it doesn't mean that's such a bad thing, but it also, he's definitely comfortable just kind of staying in his zone, staying what he's comfortable in, not overexerting himself. Even when opponents hurt, he kind of, keeps to himself there. And that first kind of round, you did see it. You did see both of them kind of staying on the outside. Dos Santos trying to use some body strikes, using his boxing, trying to, work his angles a little bit. But again, Dos Santos at this point really isn't who he is anymore. That first round, kind of some timidness between both of them, not big shot. That second round, you started to see, Gane starting to let loose a little bit and landed a nice shot. Rocked Junior Dos Santos. He went up against the fence, threw the elbow that just dropped Dos Santos. End of fight, end of story. They were talking illegal strike there, behind the head kind of thing. It was a little bit iffy, but either way, Dos Santos looked like he was in a bad spot regardless. Good victory for Gane in that fight there, beating a former champion, kind of getting his name a little bit further. He goes out there, gets a second round TKO victory over Dos Santos. 2 fights ago, he fought Jardinho Rosenstruck. I am absolutely not going to relive this fight again because boy, it was just a terrible fight. I mean, this was really maybe one of the most uneventful fights, I think, in the history of the heavyweight division. It's up there. It's probably next to Francis Ngannou and Derrick Lewis, but either way, they kind of danced around a lot. I mean, for the most part there, you pretty much had Gane, who you know, for a guy that was being timid, was trying to get things going, was trying to moving a little bit forward. You know, his technical striking is off the charts. His kickboxing is just fantastic. His hand speed, a lot of things that Gane does, and you could see how much it threw Rozenstruik off. Rozenstruik just really stayed on the outside, threw one punch or two, backed off. You know, he just couldn't find the rhythm. And now, a lot of this could really either be credit to Gane and the way that he fought and the way that he moves around the cage, or it, you know, on the other side, is it just Rozenstruik just not, you know, just uncomfortable, not in the right spot, couldn't find, you know, lack of confidence maybe that it may be for Rozenstruik, you know. So it could have been the mixture of both, because it was pretty much a sweeping decision victory all rounds you had going to going to Gane. You know, he did a great job going out there. You know, he did enough, and again, they both did kind of stare at each other for a lot of it, which again, we're gonna kind of wrap up at the end of this. My thought process on how that's going to really transpire on Saturday night. But either way, it was a unanimous decision victory for Gane in this fight. And then most recently, he fought Volkov. Alexander Volkov right here, and I'm definitely high on his skill set. I mean, he's got the height, he's got the reach, he's got power. You know what I mean? And at times he can be slow. You know, he definitely is not the fastest when it comes to the hand speed, especially against Gane. But this was just a high level kickboxing matchup. And although, you know, the decision went pretty much sweeping. I mean, I think all judges had it. I think it was 50-45, 50-45, 49-46. I thought this fight was way closer than that. I definitely thought Gane won it. There was no doubt, I think, that he won it. But I thought there were some rounds in there that you could have given it to Volkov. Didn't get it. But overall, though, a great technical striking matchup. You know, again, Gane did what he does. He stays patient. He waits in the pocket, you know, looking for the counter-striking opportunities, you know, where he can. You know, he steps up when he finds that opportunity, and he's such a great distance management. I mean, really great at distance management, and he utilizes, you know, his really snapping kicks that he has, fast developing combinations. He's able to use a lot of that, you know, in certain spots when he's managing distance, and that makes him so lethal in the heavyweight division. We've got guys who really are a little more plodding, you know, a little more slower, like Lewis, a little more slower, and that gives him such a massive advantage. And again, you know, even Gane has been criticized for not really going for it, or not being the most exciting fighter that there is in the heavyweight division. You're looking for knockouts, these kind of things. Dana White kind of talked about that as well. So there has been some of those things that have been a little bit of a knock on him, but to Gane's credit is he's winning. You know, he's going out there, he's beating some of the best fighters in the world. So we will talk a little more about that when we wrap up this fight. But there you have it there. He goes out there, wins a unanimous decision victory over Volkov. Now on the other side, you've got Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis now, you know, you've got him. He is who he is. 3 fights ago, he fought Ilir Latifi. This is an interesting fight here because you did see, now you got the wrestling involved, you've got the grappling involved, and you've got someone like Derrick Lewis who at the time was shown to be very susceptible to takedowns, bad cardio, you know, a lot of these things where, hey, just kind of wear on him. You know, he's gonna, you know, there's a point that he's just gonna drop off a cliff when it comes to his cardio. But early in that first round, you saw that Latifi couldn't get him down. He was trying to get him down, couldn't get him down. Second round, he ended up getting Lewis down, but couldn't really keep him down, and also no damage. I mean, there was really no damage. So, you know, Lewis surprisingly, really, I think, you know, uses brute strength to just get up. He almost throws his opponent off of him and just stands up. I mean, there isn't really technical skills behind that, you know, and the way that he fights to that part of it. He pretty much just, I'm getting up now, you know, and he kind of throws them off. So you see the power and the strength behind him. But going into that third round, again, he was defending takedowns, landed the big strikes. I thought he landed a lot of the harder strikes overall. Latifi was 4 for 7 on his takedown attempts. So he had some takedowns, didn't do much with it. Very close decision, I gotta say, but they did give the decision to Derrick Lewis. He did win in that spot. And 2 fights ago, he fought Oleinik. So this was one here where when he fought Oleinik, and Oleinik's old, but the same part of it, it's a grappler heavy approach, looking for those takedowns, looking for the clinch, looking to get in tight. And again, Lewis had to kind of manipulate through some of that. He wants to throw the big shot. He wants to, open up, but he's got to be careful with the takedowns, those kind of things. And the same thing early in that first round, which you did see from Lewis, which Lewis said, screw it, I'm going for the takedown. So he ended up getting an early takedown on Olynyk, which I thought was extremely impressive. Just the way that he was able to kind of go in there and pretty much the complete opposite of what everybody thought. I'm sure even what Olynyk thought that what Lewis would do going into that fight. So he ended up in that fight taking him down. Then there were some reversals where Olynyk got on top, didn't look good for Lewis. Then he reversed again, and they kind of scrappled around until Olynyk kind of just had this side control, and kind of like a headlock kind of situation going on. Lewis ends up surviving that, which did look good for him. But going into that second round, Lewis does what he does, and he kind of just wins it. And goes into that second round, the opener, throws a flying knee. I mean, ridiculous, but a flying knee he throws. From there, landed a beautiful shot, drops Olynyk, and from there it was just heavy ground and pound, landed big shots, put away Olynyk in that second round. First round was a very ugly, sloppy round, but going into that second round, really a nice finish for Derrick Lewis in that spot. And then most recently, he fought Curtis Blaydes. Now this is one, again, a heavy grappling, wrestling opponent that he had to face. Very tough stylistic matchups, absolutely. Blaydes goes for 100 takedowns in a fight. He does not care. He's going for it. And in that first round, Blaydes did something different there as well. Blaydes said, I'm not going to go in for the takedown, which I thought was a different approach when I was watching it for the first time and watching it live. I'm like, I'm really surprised he's just kind of standing and trading, although Blaydes has absolutely elevated his boxing. This just was not the path that you really want to take against Derrick Lewis. Didn't really go. I think he kind of clinched up once, and then Derrick kind of threw him off. But that first round, pretty much was Blaydes. They kind of the same kind of thing. They kind of danced around a little bit, which makes me think a lot of that is possible going into Saturday night. With Derrick Lewis, a lot of people are just kind of scared of the power, and they kind of stay at a distance and just want to look for that opening. They know all he needs is one. That's kind of the way that Blaydes kind of took that, where he basically said, I'm going to wait it out. He was, I believe, hoping for that second round for maybe some of the strength to go down. Maybe he would get a little bit tired, but not much activity in that first round. Going to that second round, then you finally saw, hey, Blaydes is going to go for the takedown. He went for one, got stuffed, and then he ended up going for that second one, which was the uppercut from hell. Blasts Curtis Blaydes. He goes down. Fight over. Again, another big KO performance from Derrick Lewis. So with that all being said, pretty much here, when you look at this fight and you break down two guys of this caliber, where you've got one guy who's extremely technical, and another guy who is just all power, haymaker shots. There's a lot more, I think, to it. But when you look obviously at Gane obviously high-level kickboxer. I mean, that is just his thing. He just has that, 9 or 10 fights pro MMA, but then he's got a extensive background when you're talking about kickboxing. Fantastic arsenal, and that is one thing that Gane has. And you've just seen him throughout each fight, and the way that he fights is pretty much, that's kind of how he is. He has just, he throws knees, elbows, he's throwing level-changing kicks, and some of his kicks are extremely deceiving. And the way that he does it, and it's almost something I feel like I haven't really seen, I don't know if you guys have seen, but it's more where he's setting up for a kick, and sometimes he lifts his leg a little slower to almost see where his opponent is going to put his hands or defend, and then fires the other side. So or sometimes he just snaps it out real quick. Sometimes he holds it and just gets his opponent to try to shift a little bit and look for the opening. I mean, very high level striking. I mean, extremely high level striking. And again, the distance management. He's just so good at it. And the other part is, and we talked about it, is he doesn't care. He just does not care if it's not a sexy win or this big knockout, or he's here, I'm here to win, and that's it. And you could tell it's not just talk with him. So he's comfortable being in space. That's where he wants to be. And again, why would he want to brawl with anybody if he could just sit outside and pick you apart and utilize his fantastic striking? So that's that part too. And again, his hand speed and everything just way off the charts when it comes to heavyweight division. And the other side, you've got Derrick Lewis, and basically Derrick Lewis is everything that Gane isn't. So basically, he's just got the one-punch knockout power. I mean, that is it. He's got the one big bomb. He has shown it consistently over and over again in fights where pretty much he's the massive underdog, like he is here, massive underdog. You know, what's going to happen here? How is this going to transpire? Is he going to land the big shot? You know, and you've got, you know, he's not technical. He's looking for the brawl. He wants to make it dirty. He wants to make it sloppy. But the one thing I got to say that was very impressive when capping Lewis is the 3 fights that he had prior, and actually I think there was another guy too, if I do remember, but like just capping these are terrible stylistic matchups. I mean, really terrible. I mean, yes, I know Latifi is not any world beater at this point. I know Oleinik's, you know, getting old, and you know, Curse Blades is a killer, you know, and he's going to be a champion at some point, I believe. But thing about this is these are just all wrestlers. He's had bad matchups, and that's why he was such a big underdog on these fights. Is because, you know, in most of these fights, is because, you know, he doesn't have the grappling. He doesn't have the grappling. He doesn't have the ability, or at least that's what he thinks. He doesn't have the ability to kind of stay in the stay on the ground and be able to survive. And these are grapplers, and very tough for him. So he was not able to just unload his striking and just fire and not really worry about a takedown. He knew a takedown obviously is going to drain him, trying to get back up, muscling his way up there. So that, I think, is a very, very interesting part of this, because here he's not going to have that. He's going to have Gane, who is going to give the space, who is going to give the opportunity for him to work on the outside. And again, Gane's fine with that, because Gane is, you know, fantastic when it comes to that distance. But the one part here, I think that you know, obviously the big part is that, you know, not having to worry about the takedowns, but definitely the experience. Now, obviously, you know, again, Gane is not some new to, you know, combat sports, but it's different. And, you know, now you're talking about it's going to be in front of a big audience, and it's going to be in Texas. You know, there's you know, home crowd for Lewis. It's going to be a little bit different of a situation there. But overall, the biggest part for me is really the space that Gane leaves. Actually, I think helps Lewis. And I know that does sound weird. I know that almost doesn't make sense, because Gane is just so technically sound, and he is pretty much absolutely well-rounded when you're talking about just stand-up skills. He can just do it all. And he does have credentials on the ground, so that's the part too. He does have the ability to grapple if he needs it, but he's comfortable in that kickboxing range. But the reason that I think that that's going to be a good thing, if there's any good thing for Lewis, is that Lewis can not worry about the takedowns. He's not going to have to say, hey, if I lunge in forward, or if I start really throwing those bombs, or I get in the pocket where I want to be. I mean, that's where Lewis wants to be. He wants to be in tight, and he knows he's not going to have to worry about the level changes. That's where Gane, you know, that's where he could maybe cause Gane problems. Nobody's really just bullied Gane. No one's really just went in there and said, I don't give a fuck. I'm going forward, and I think if I land one, it's over. And if you land one, I think I could handle it. You know, and I think I'm able to take it. You've seen, you know, sometimes Lewis gets crazy with his striking. He's swinging wildly, and if he can kind of hone that in a little bit and start pressuring Gane, I think there's a spot for success. If there is a spot for success, there is a spot for success there. You know, and Gane has all the advantages. I mean, pretty much, you know, when you're talking about metrics and things like that, Lewis's metrics are terrible. Gane's obviously are, you know, again, off the charts, that kind of stuff. But I think the biggest part for me here, when you're capping a heavyweight title fight. Now, I feel like I've done extremely well on heavyweight title fights. I feel like I've really been able to lock in on this one, on most of them. This one get good reads, but this one here for me, you know, I like Gane here. You know, do I think he could win this fight? Absolutely. I mean, you know, you're crazy if you think that, you know, outright Lewis should just win this fight. You know, Gane has the ability, but this price, you know, a minus 400. I don't care if you're getting a minus 380 or whatever the hell you're getting, because this line is moving like crazy. That's just way too high. That's just absolutely way too high. And because of the biggest reason, because of the variance in heavyweight division. You know, it's so hard to be a champion for a long period of time. That's why that always happened. You know, guy wins 2, you know, defends his belt twice. It's like, holy shit, you know, the guy, you know, heavyweight champ defended the belt twice. It's just because there's so much variance in the division. And that is pushing me to Lewis here. If we're placing a bet, to me, it has to be on Derrick Lewis. That's the only value at this point here. And Derrick Lewis, plus whatever you're getting, plus 300, plus 310, 320, whatever it may be. Again, books are kind of all over the place here, but there's a lot of great plus money on him. Now, obviously, there's no way that Lewis is going to win this fight if it goes to a decision. There's just no way he's going to pick him apart or drop Gane a couple times and win rounds. I don't really see it being that way. So obviously, straight bet is not worth it. Here in this spot here, as a sprinkle, as a prop play that I do like here is Derrick Lewis by knockout plus 440 I'm seeing out there. I mean, that is just astronomical. And again, I just think this is priced too far away. I think that 4-1, favorite on Gane. Again, he has the absolute ability and to make this look easy on Saturday night. He does. I mean, without a doubt. But if you're talking just a betting perspective and the value, it's on Lewis. To me, this is a dog or pass 100% for me here. Even if Gane goes out there and sparks him in the first round, to me, this is a dog or pass. So for me, as my first free play, as a prop, I'm sprinkling Derrick Lewis via KO plus 440, way high. And we're going to see if we can pull a rabbit out of his hat again. So that is my first replay on the main event. Now, the other one, and I'll try to go over this one quicker, is Jessica Penne versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Here is a fight. Now, I talked about this on the Wagertalk show, but this is a kind of fight where if you're betting it and if you're going to place this wager, bet it, and when the fight starts, go get yourself a beer, go get yourself a snack. Go get something. You know what I mean? If you want to go make a phone call, call your side chick up, call your girlfriend, your wife, whatever it is, because you're not going to want to watch this fight. This fight is going to be sloppy. It's going to be ugly, and you just hope that the one we have raises her hand at the end of this fight. Excuse me. So we're talking Jessica Penne and. Jessica now it's basically pick 'em. You got minus 102 for Jessica, and you got Karolina. It's roughly around minus 120. So you're talking about a pick 'em here. And now obviously the first part of this to get into this is you've got Jessica who back in 2017 was popped for steroids. There was talks about PED allegations and did she do it? Did she not? Then she tried to fight it, and she's saying that she wasn't on it. A lot of crazy stuff kind of going on there. She was UFC title challenger, Invicta champion, so she definitely has some accolades. Now at 38 years old, that is going to be obviously worrisome in this spot here. But what she did do is she did come back already and she fought Lupe Godinez. And against Lupe, who's an undefeated fighter, not a known fighter, but undefeated, pretty strong, not girl that was very young, looked pretty good out there. And this spot here, and what I liked that Jessica did, is the fact that she used clinch. She wanted to get into the clinch. She wanted to use some grappling. And I feel like a lot of the past back in 2017, 2016, she's just mostly striking. She's standing a lot, in spots she's going for takedowns. But I feel like she kind of stuck with that and didn't really look to mix everything together. And I thought she looked really good, in certain spots with the game plan. She went in tight. The thing about there is that Lupe was very strong. She could not get her down. She was trying to get her down, couldn't get her down. And that, to me, obviously is an absolute path to victory. She has high-level grappling, and she just doesn't use it. Here, I know that she's got a takedown success rate of about 23%. Not very high, but I think it's also, I just think it was the points of where she was doing this. Against Karolina. Now, Karolina, who is great at kickboxing, has fantastic kickboxing. But the big thing on her now, she's 0-4 out of her last 4. Now, she's lost to some elite level opponents. She's definitely lost to top level. But she hasn't won a round since 2018. One single round since 2018. She's a pretty active fighter. She's been fighting, so for her to lose, again, against top level opponents, that's one thing. But, I mean, she is getting smoked. She's either getting knocked out or a clean sweep, losing every single round. But the big difference for me here is she's small for the division. She's not a big girl. She's very small for the division. And she lacks the strength in any clinching or striking situation. Now, it's not like, Jessica Penne is some, knockout artist by any means. But she's going to have the strength advantage. she's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. You know, she's definitely not the more technical striker. Without a doubt, that's going to be Carolina if she can keep that volume. But a lot of times, these girls aren't really too worried about her striking. They don't really find it at, you know, they're almost willing to take it to move forward, to throw out the volume. Carolina just doesn't have that. So in this spot here, you know, I think she's going to use the grappling. I think Jessica is going to get in tight. I think that her striking looked probably the sharpest it's been in her last fight. Obviously not against high-level opponent, but went out there and you know, snuck by, but cardio was off a little bit, but I think she corrects that. I think since it was her first fight, she corrects that. She was grappling the entire round, the entire fight, which is obviously exhausting. So here at a pick'em price here, a girl that's, you know, that's 0-4, that's small for the division, doesn't have the power. I think this is a good spot for Penne to make it ugly, get in tight, latch onto her, keep her up against the fence. I think that's going to be home base for her. I think, you know, Penne is going to, you know, find ways to kind of push forward with big shots, utilize some of that reach advantage, and then from there try to get the takedowns. And again, she doesn't really need many takedowns. I mean, if once Carolina's on her back one time in a round, I don't see her getting up. I really just don't see her getting up. I don't know if I would see a finish in that spot, but I don't see her getting up, and I think she chips away on the scorecards. And I know that judging has been fucking terrible, but what can we do? I really like here Jessica Penne. Even money, I think it's a good spot to take her to beat Carolina, who better technical striking, but I think that the strength advantage for Penne is going to be the difference maker. So those are my 2 free plays for UFC 265. If you want to see my 5% play, link in the description. Also, again, one of those plays I am selling for $2. If you got $2, get involved, become a client. Link in the description, and we will see how we do. Follow me on Twitter at Kyle Anthony UFC, and I will see you on the next show. Let's make some money this weekend, and this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and we'll see you next time.